everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden. Today is April 23rd, Tuesday, April 23rd, and we are live. We are live, kicking it here in the studios after a 5-day sojourn to the North Country. That's right. Oh, Canada. We were kicking it up there. We were in Camrose, and if you don't know where Camrose is, just keep going north until you see the Caribou, and then take a sharp right. That's where Camrose is. It's about, 45 minutes, a little bit north of Edmonton, home of the Edmonton Oilers. Spoke to 500 women at a women's conference, an all-women's conference. 500 women on Friday morning. Spoke to 150 people Saturday afternoon. And then we boogied on down to Calgary, spoke to another 150, 160. My big shout-out to all of the people up in Canada doing a big job. That's Mike Phillip. You go, Mike. That's Corey Prop. That's Lee. That's Terry. That's Damik. That's Sean. That's everybody up there who is doing it to it in Calgary, spreading our message of health recovery through science-based medical nutrition in Camrose, spreading our message of wealth through health to everybody who is smart enough to take a listen. And for goodness sake, you know who our customer is? Who's our customer? Well, everybody's our customer. Why is everybody our customer? Because everybody is sick. I mean, take a look around. If you had the choice, if you didn't have any conscience whatsoever, and, an angel of the Lord appeared this afternoon and said, Charlie, I'm going to grant you one wish. If you so choose, I'm going to give you 10% of all of the profit that all of the pharmaceutical companies everywhere in the world make every day. Would you take that bet? You're darn right you would, because it is beaucoup dinero. It is a lot of money, ladies and gentlemen. For goodness sake, the pharmaceutical industry is so huge, they funded the beginning of World War II. That's right. You know how Hitler got the money to invade Poland? Well, that was through the pharmaceutical concerns. And then you know what the pharmaceutical companies did? What Hitler allowed them to do in return for their largesse? He allowed them to construct pharmaceutical plants next to the concentration camps of Dachau and Auschwitz also, I believe. It was either one or two. Inside of which they did experiments on the inmates, live, living human beings. That's right, human experiments. And they used the inmates of the concentration camps as slave labor to help to manufacture the Zyklon B gas that they used in the concentration camps to kill the Jews, the Gypsies, and everybody else. And you know who one of the pharmaceutical magnates was, one of the pharmaceutical companies that was affiliated or that was a member of this enclave of pharmaceutical companies profiteering and performing war crimes? Bayer. The same company that gives your children Bayer aspirin. Now, you want to ask yourself a long, hard question. If a company intimately involved in human experimentation, war crimes, and mass murder during World War II, number one, why are they still allowed to exist? Number two, why aren't their owners thrown in jail and executed? And number three, why are they still in business? And number four, in the United States of America, in Canada, home of the free, land of the brave? Well, it's because they've got more money than God, and whoever has all the money has all the power, and they've got all the money, they've got all the power. And we jump to their tune. We dance to their tune. And, like the fella said, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And most people are of the opinion, incorrectly so, that the MDs own the theater of medicine, that the MDs are driving the bus of medicine, because their therapeutics must be better, their therapeutics must be safer, their therapeutics must be more effective, and, their therapeutics must be less expensive than their competitors, because after all, it's a free market, right? Well, no, it's not. We haven't had a free market in the United States. I don't know about Canada. Canada's got to follow suit. They usually follow the suit of the United States economically. By the way, Canada is collapsing. collapsing economically under the weight of its disease management medical model, the same way that the United States is. Problem with Canada is that their citizens don't have any choice. Money is taken out of their paychecks every week, whether they like it or not, to give them access to the worst type of medicine in the world, MD-directed pharmaceutical, reductionistic, allopathic, pharmaceutical centrist medicine. Which is great, by the way, for surgery. It's great for trauma. It's great for, in nasty infections that nothing else can take care of, well, with the possible exception of the infections that they create, like MRSA. It's good for that stuff, more or less, most of the time. But the problem is we go to these people for everything. We go to them for everything. And, because they own the show, because they're the only show in town, because they have out-legislated every other type of health care in the world, because they have made it illegal for me to practice medicine, because they have made it difficult for the chiropractors, the homeopaths, the herbalists, the acupuncturists to even call themselves physicians. Because they own the show, the only type of medicine that anybody's aware of is MD-directed medicine. It becomes reality by consensus. Just like back in the day when we didn't allow women to vote. Of course women were smart enough to vote. But when enough people in the population all collectively agree that women are not smart enough to vote, and then they pass laws which make it illegal for women to vote, that myth persists. When a handful of wealthy aristocrats decide that slavery really is the way to go, and that's really the way to pad their pockets, well, even though every human being knows inherently that slavery is wrong unless you're a prejudicial idiot, prejudice persists, slavery persists for hundreds of years. For hundreds of years, because it's reality by consensus. You look around, slavery's been around for so long, it must be the way that God wanted it, right? That's how it's all argued away. It's got to be God's plan, because otherwise it wouldn't be so. Well, that's not the way that it is. It's not the way that it is. The MDs own the bus of medicine. The MDs are driving the bus of medicine, own the theater of medicine, not because their therapeutics are better, certainly not because they're less expensive, certainly not because they're more science-based. It's because in the 1920s, the early 1920s, they legislated them, they strong-armed themselves into first place. And they've kept themselves there with money and political power ever since. They've kept themselves there with money and political power ever since. And it is such a huge, overarching phenomenon that even though it is directly in front of our eyes, we miss it. The simple fact. The reason that Canada's economy is crushing itself under its own health care budget. The reason that the leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States is medical bills. The reason that MD-directed medical therapeutics in the United States are the leading cause of death. The reason that while we have let the MDs drive the bus of medicine, chronic diseases are getting worse, not better. The reason that while we have let the MDs drive the bus of medicine, autism is skyrocketing. The reason why, while we have let the MDs drive the bus of medicine, arthritis and type 2 diabetes and Alzheimer's have risen from, obscurity, from obscurity to the sixth leading cause of death. Over 50% of Canadian citizens have arthritis. Are you kidding me? Hey, that's good for the orthopedic surgeons. It's good for the drug companies, isn't it? Not so good for you and me. However, even though their therapeutics are unbelievably expensive, debilitating, demeaning, ineffective, dangerous, and deadly, we keep going back to them every day because we do not know any better. We have been socialized to perfection. We have been quick-fried to a crackly crunch. Somebody turn me over, I am done. This is the way that it is, ladies and gentlemen. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, and when you are embedded in a medical myth, a cultural myth, of over 100 years duration, you don't even know that you're embedded in the myth anymore. It's like that movie, The Matrix. It's all a dream, and you have no idea. You have no idea how much BS it all is. And quite frankly, The education of your medical professional doesn't make it any better, because the education of an MD or a PhD is not encouraged to open their minds. It does not encourage free thinking. It does not encourage forward thinking. The education and the clinical experience, the clinical handholding that MDs get, teaches them to work inside of their very narrow, colorblind box. And so the MDs, being intellectually cowardly at their very core, do not question their own piss-poor therapeutics. You'd think that a scientist would look around and after the 150th experiment that went wrong, they'd change the model. They'd change the method. They'd do something different, but not the MDs, because the MDs have convinced themselves of their own greatness. They practice medieval, mediocre, Machiavellian, reductionistic medicine, which is for-profit, monopolistic Machiavellian medicine, and you and I suffer. Well, not me, and probably not most of the people listening to this radio broadcast, because we have seen the light, and we have opened the doors of our mind, and we have taken first a hesitating step, and then a less sure step, and then a sure step, and then bold footsteps, and then we pick up speed and we start running into the land of science-based, clinically verified, holistic health recovery protocols offered by the Longevity Company. Ladies and gentlemen, the best thing to happen to medicine since the invention of the sterile technique are the boilerplate health recovery protocols offered by Longevity through the aegis of Dr. Joel Wallach, the most experienced, most respected, most lauded naturopathic physician in the world. Get on board with us. Hitch your wagon to our train, because we are going fast and we are going far. Stick around. I'm taking your calls when we come back. I am Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Fire Your MD. We are live today, April 23rd. Going right to Utah right now. We're going to talk to Wes, who's got a question about asthma. Hey, Wes, thanks for calling. What's up?
Good to talk to you, Dr. Glidden. You know what? You're making me a believer more and more every day. About 3 weeks ago, I joined your health recovery program online, and I asked you about asthma. I've had it for life. I've suffered through eczema, through, take this pill, take this inhaler. I'm just tired of it. And I've been taking the Beyond Tangerine religiously for about a year, and I've seen some results, but I was just reluctant to accept that I need to, get off of the bad foods. But you also told me, at least if I remember correctly, you said it's a fatty acid deficiency. And so I doubled the intake, and wow.
All right, this is awesome. So how old are you, number one?
I'm 37.
37. And how many years of the 37 have you been struggling with a breathing issue, a.k.a. asthma?
Oh, since my infancy.
Really?
I mean, I've had it all. I mean, I've had the pills, the inhalers, and I just got tired of it. They tell me I have to take the rescue inhaler, the maintenance inhaler, and it costs, $160 after insurance. I was just tired of it.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? So on a scale of 1 to 10, before you took my advice, where was your asthma? With a 10 being, take me to the hospital right now, and a 0 being completely gone. So before talking to me, where was your asthma on the 1 to 10 scale?
Well, and the thing, like I mentioned, it was seasonal, so sometimes it would be like, maybe at 8, it'd be like, oh my gosh, I need to use my my albuterol treatment, what is that called, the respirator?
The rescue inhaler, yeah.
No, but it's another one. It's a machine at the hospital. It's another. But you get the point. I'd have to use the albuterol. I mean, I'd be tight. And the reason why I think I know this works, too, is because I've been taking the essential fatty acids, but then my wife, she noticed there were, benefits, and so she was hogging them up, and I ran out for about a couple of days, and I also ate some pizza, and lo and behold, I wake up in the morning, my lungs are tight. But I've been able to work out in the yard and mow the lawn, and it's crazy. I haven't been tight, but I was just recently the other day because I was out of the EFAs, so I think we're onto something. Well,
hey, look, this is the thing about it, right? The proof of the pudding's in the eating, and the thing about this is, honestly, the same thing happens to me, so don't feel bad. couple of weeks ago, I travel a lot, too much, actually, and I'm everywhere all the time, spreading the good word about longevity, and I the airline misplaced my bag, so I was without my supplements for 24 hours, and just not having them in my body for 24 hours, my sleep was horrible, my mood was horrible, I started to get twitches in my eye muscles, and it was like, holy smokes, folks. If you don't believe in this, well, that's like saying I don't believe in gravity. Well, good luck and have a nice life. Our whole thing here is results, results, results. And, give yourself a big pat on the back, Wes, for having the intellectual curiosity, number one, and then the emotional and intellectual courage, number two, to stick your foot into these waters, stick your toe into these waters, and then take a big plunge. You are in the minority, my friend, because most people think that they're skeptical, they're closed-minded, they hear what we're saying, but they turn a deaf ear to it. And, you are among the few who are smart enough take our advice and see for themselves how it goes. I'm really proud of you, Wes, and very, very happy for you as well.
Well, thank you. My wife, though, too, she's a thoracic ICU nurse. She's in the establishment, and this is shocking to her too. But now she ordered herself the weight loss pack. She's going all in because she's with a trainer, Weight Watchers, and she knows that something is not right here. So you got another believer.
Well, Wes, you're the greatest, man. Thank you so much for the call. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for everything that you do. And you're hearing it right from the horse's mouth, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, I don't screen my calls. I have no idea what people are going to tell me when they get on the other line. No idea whatsoever. You're hearing it straight from the horse's mouth. Medical nutrition, new-fashioned, science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition works. And if you're not on board, you do not know what you're missing. Head them up and moving them out right here on Fire Your MD Now. Today we are live April 23rd, Tuesday, April 23rd, 2013. 866-582-9933. Hey, listen, if it's good enough for an emergency room nurse, you think it's about time you gave it a whirl? I mean, really? What more do you need to know? Let's go to Marie from California with a question about congestive heart failure. Hey, Marie, thanks for calling. You are live.
Oh, hi, Dr. Glidden. Remember a couple of weeks ago I called you regarding my husband's breathing issue. He's in respiratory. So last week he went to have a X-ray, and it shows that he has fluid in his lung, and the doctor said that he's congestive heart failure. Yeah. So now he's giving him Lasix to drink the water out.
Yeah. Well, the doctor's a knucklehead. So congestive heart failure is the end stage of something called Kuru's disease. And right. It's a vitamin B like baby 1 deficiency, vitamin B1 deficiency. He needs to take the D-stress, the longevity's D-stress, D like David, stress, in addition to what I advised you to do tomorrow, the last time we spoke. So what we're doing here is supporting and promoting the structure and function of his lungs and his heart. And in the face of congestive heart failure, where the heart starts beating so poorly that the blood starts pooling and backing up into the pulmonary arteries and then getting back into the lungs, it's kind of like if you have a sump pump and it's trying to pump water out, but it's not strong enough. The water just builds up in the sump and then it floods over into the basement, and that's not good. That's what happens with congestive heart failure. So rather than try to fix the problem, get to the root of the problem, because remember, MDs are not trained in what causes things. They're not, which is a real eye-opener to most people. They're not. They're only trained how to manage it. Right? So rather than trying to figure out what they can do to strengthen the heart and eliminate the congestive heart failure, they just give him drugs to leach water out of his body, which is, that's like giving passengers on board a sinking ship buckets to bail the water out rather than trying to find where the leak is and plug it. But that's what the MDs do, right? So the thing that you want to do here, Marie, to add to the program that he's already doing is 1 bottle of de-stress, D like David stress, 1 bottle of de-stress a month, okay?
Okay, and then and also his kidney is a little high.
I don't care about the kidney problem. The kidney is going to be elevated, and, you know, depending on what is elevated in the kidney and why, if it's potassium, you don't need to worry about it. Again, the MDs have got that completely backwards. You really don't need to worry about any blood values with the kidneys with medical nutrition. And MDs will tell you the opposite because, remember, they have no training, no experience, no education, and no appreciation for practically applied, science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. They do not know what they're talking about when it comes to the relationship between nutritional supplementation and the pathogenesis of disease. They are in the dark. So don't worry about the kidney. Give him the nutritional supplements, eliminate the 10 bad foods from his diet, and add the de-stress. And usually, in the people that I have helped who have had congestive heart failure in the past, you see it turn around quite quickly. You see things start to move in a better direction within 21 days. So, I mean, I've seen congestive heart failure. I'm sorry?
B1 vitamins. How much should I give him?
Of the B? Yeah. So I believe in the de-stress capsules there's 120, so give him 4 a day.
Oh.
Yeah, give him 4 a day. So you divide the number of capsules that are in. How much does your husband weigh?
118.
118, yeah, give him, for the first 2 weeks, give him 9 a day. Give him 9 de-stress a day, 3 with breakfast, 3 with lunch, 3 with dinner for the first 3 weeks. And then after that, you can back it off to 6 a day. I would give him 6 a day for 3 months after the initial 9 a day. But a lot of 9 a day for 3 weeks, and then 6 a day for the remaining 3 months.
What about the niacin?
Niacin, don't worry about niacin. I wouldn't give him extra niacin. The only time people give niacin is to bring cholesterol down, and the only reason to bring cholesterol down is because you're an idiot. No, he doesn't have high cholesterol. Well, I don't know. Maybe he does. What's his cholesterol number? Do you know?
Well, the bad one is 175. It should be 100.
No, it shouldn't. Who told you that?
Well, that's what the doctor said.
Exactly correct, Marie. Exactly correct. What's his total cholesterol? Do you know?
220.
Yeah, it's too low. I like to see total cholesterol be over 270.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So he doesn't need niacin. He doesn't need to bring his cholesterol down if it's only 220. And when he cleans up his diet, stops eating fried foods, stops eating oil in a bottle, stops eating wheat, barley, rye, and oats, and the other 10 bad foods, and consistently takes the nutritional supplements, the bad cholesterol, quote unquote, will get better and better and better and better. It's only a matter of time.
When he takes the BTT, he has a run.
Yeah, okay. So when that happens, has he stopped eating wheat, barley, rye, and oats?
Actually, yes. Well, I would say maybe 90%.
Okay, so it has to be 100%, number one, or it really does have to be 100%, because wheat, barley, rye, and oats damages the intestinal tract and makes it hard for the intestinal tract to absorb the BTT, and so it'll pass through his body and give him diarrhea. Instead of getting into the bloodstream, it gets into the large intestine and it makes him have diarrhea. So there's two things.
Oatmeal.
Yeah, I'm sorry, what? He loves his oatmeal?
Yeah, he loves oatmeal. That's the only thing he likes.
Well, yeah, his oatmeal's going to kill him. So give him rice porridge instead of oatmeal. Give him a hot rice cereal instead of oatmeal. Okay, hot rice cereal instead of oatmeal. If he likes to have a hot, chewy cereal in the morning, give him a rice porridge instead of oatmeal, because the oatmeal is going to mess him up. And so the other thing to do here, Marie, is how much of the BTT are you giving him every day? You're giving him 4 scoops a day?
No, I try to give him, he can only take like 1 a day. 2 scoops a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening.
Okay, so what I would do is I would put 1 scoop, 1 level scoop, into 16 ounces of water. 1 level scoop into 16 ounces of water. Actually, yeah, that's about right, into 16 or 18 or 20 ounces of water, and have him drink from it over the course of the morning. Have him take 3 hours to drink it down. 3 hours to drink it down. And then do the same thing in the afternoon. He's drinking it too quickly, and that's why he's getting diarrhea. So he needs to slow down on, how fast he throws it down.
I got him to sip a little bit of time, just like he drink coffee, but he doesn't like it. He said it makes him go have to run. So he's making his stomach is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I've been with him for a month now.
Yeah, well, there's only so much you can do. He really just has to shut up and take the medicine. You know what I mean? If he doesn't like the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, there is another thing that you can do for him. There is another thing that you can do. Give him instead of the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, give him the Ultimate Daily Capsules. The Ultimate Daily Capsules, okay?
Okay.
Ultimate Daily Capsules. Give him 6 of those a day instead of the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, and that won't give him diarrhea. He'll just be able to swallow those like a vitamin, and, that might give you a leg up on the situation, okay?
Okay.
I think you have your work cut out for you. Is that right, Marie?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, women, I don't know. Women are usually the smartest people. Men are just stubborn. You gotta lead that horse to water. I don't know what you can do to trick him into taking his vitamins, but if anybody can figure it out, it's you, Marie. Thanks for the call. Let me know what happens. Call me back. Good luck. You are welcome. This is the way that it is, right? We tell people what to do. And I have to tell you one more thing before I forget about it. And I talked about this when I was up in Camrose at the Women's Health. And I wasn't being... this is true. I mean, I wasn't trying to, impress women by saying this, but I've been doing naturopathic medicine for 24 years, and I've had a private practice for the better part of 20 years. Private practice for the better part of 20 years. The vast majority, over 70% of my patient base over 20 years has been women. Over 70% is women. It's about 15, 18% children who were brought in by women, and the smallest percentage, right around 10, 12% is men. Because men, for some reason, are stubborn, they're old-fashioned, they believe what the doctor says. I don't know why. I don't know why that is. I really don't know why it is. But men are the hardest people, amongst the hardest people to convince to even give this stuff a try, which is why I think that the women are going to change the world. Because really, when you think about it, it's women who control everything, and the men just pretend that they do. But in any event, whatever works as far as helping people to understand and get it, that there is in fact another way. And towards that end, one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they join Youngevity is that, they'll take the products and they have a remarkable experience, or their son or their daughter or their husband does, and it's a remarkable experience and it's a remarkable positive health change, and they get all excited and they become Youngevity representatives, and they march out into the world boldly and start telling everybody in the world everything they need to know about Dr. Wallach and Youngevity and Dr. Glidden and all this stuff, and it chases people away. It chases people away because even though what you're telling them is the truth, it is too much of a psychological jump for them to take to listen to you over their doctor. They just can't do it. People are like brainwashed and, socialized into believing that you have to genuflect at the altar of the MD every day, and they're not going to listen to you, even though you know what's best for them. So what do? Instead of becoming the expert, you take people to the expert. So instead of talking a blue streak about Youngevity, just say, hey, you know what? I know a doctor that says you don't have to suffer with that. I'd love to invite you to a webinar. I'd love to send you a link to a video. I'd love to lend you this CD. I'd love to have you listen to a pre-recorded phone message. I'd love to have you do a live phone chat with somebody in Youngevity. Would you like to do that? Because I'd love to show you what we're up to. You know, if you found the greatest restaurant in the world and wanted to turn everybody in your family onto it and all your friends, you wouldn't go to culinary school, become a chef, work in the restaurant, steal the chef's recipes, and then have everybody over to your house so you could cook the meal. You wouldn't do that. For goodness sake, you just make a reservation and bring people to the restaurant. This is what we recommend to build a strong Youngevity business and to bring our message to as many people as is humanly possible. Don't become the expert, just bring people to the expert. Lend the CDs, send the video clips, do what you can to bring people into our arena, and we'll take care of it for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your steadfast advocate for health, your friendly neighborhood naturopath, Dr. Peter Glidden. Don't even think about touching that dial. We're going to Nebraska when we come back. It's another Manic Tuesday. 866-582-9933 right here at the Genesis Communication Network. I'm your host, Dr. Peter Glidden. Welcome aboard. We're going to Nebraska now to speak with Alexis about a heart condition. Hey, Alexis, thanks for calling. You are live.
Hi. I want to talk to you about a couple of heart conditions I have. A friend of mine told me to call.
Okay. I'm all ears.
I have a hole in my heart I was born with and Epstein syndrome.
Epstein-Barr?
I don't know, they called it Epstein syndrome.
Yeah, Epstein, yeah, so what, are you tired all the time?
Yeah, I have a lot of problems with my heart acting up. It'll slow down and speed up and then stop, and I also have a bicuspid instead of a tricuspid valve.
Okay, so you got a little bit of a murmur there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, first of all, Alexis, thanks for calling. Stick on the line. That's usually a cue for my radio guys to disconnect the call. Sorry I said that, guys. Sorry I said that. Hold the line. So, tell me, how old are you?
23.
23. And how tall are you?
5'2".
And how much do you weigh?
187.
And how do you feel?
Exhausted all of the time.
Yeah. Is besides this, energy thing and the heart thing, is there anything else that you've been bothered by in your short life so far? Sleep problem, heartburn, asthma, arthritis, or is it just energy?
No, I have asthma and I have insomnia.
How did I know that? How did I know that, Alexis? How did I know that? I am a smart cookie, eh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm being silly with you here. All right. So here's the deal. People are born with holes in their heart, right? And sometimes it's that's because of a nutrient deficiency in the blood of your mother when she was pregnant. So you can blame it on her. Tell her it's her fault. You have a hole in your heart. And depending on the size of the hole, you can live with it, no problem. The body will fix it or not. And, depending on also what you do in your life, it may be problematic, it may be not. If you wanted to become an Olympic speed skater, well, the hole in the heart might become problematic. But again, you've made it to 23 years old without too much of a problem here. I mean, have you ever had a heart attack or been rushed to the hospital with a cardiac emergency?
Been taken to the hospital a couple of times. My resting heart rate is 116, and sometimes it'll speed up, and then sometimes it'll slow down and just stop. Okay,
so when it slows down and just stops, what do? Pass out?
Yeah, and usually I have someone around. It takes a couple of hours. I can feel it. I get really dizzy, really lightheaded, and I can kind of feel it coming on, and I just pass out and I wake up at a hospital.
Yeah, I imagine that, right. So, well, thank God for emergency medicine. That's what they're good for if they're not addicted to street drugs, alcohol, or prescription medicines, which 51%, by the way, of emergency room medical doctors are. But I digress. Has anyone ever taken an X-ray of your back? Has anyone ever told you that you have a problem with the discs in your back, or are you shorter than you used to be when you were, 18 years old? Or has anyone ever told you there's a problem with the discs in your back?
No, they told me that I have a slight curvature of my spine, but...
Okay, we're getting somewhere now, kiddo. All right, so here's what we do for everybody, regardless of what the diagnosis is, all right? Our fundamental position is that the human body has a built-in intelligence that's God-given, that the human body knows how to fix itself, and that the human body wants to fix itself. However, the human body isn't magical, and it can't create raw materials out of thin air. So if there's not enough iron or calcium or vitamin C or vitamin D in the food that you're eating or the stuff that you're drinking, your body is going to be deficient in the nutrition that it needs, in your case, to keep your heart healthy and your energy healthy. So what we recommend people do is fill their nutritional tanks with the appropriate nutritional support program. Stop eating food that gives negative stress to the body. Get out of the way and let the body recover its health to the degree and the ability that it's able to recover its health. So we're up against a hard break. It's the top of the hour here, Alexis. If you can stick with me through the break, I'll tell you how to fix this with science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition when we come back. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the luckiest day of your life. You've tuned into Fire Your MD Now. Stick around.